You're listening to the Occupational Philosophers with Simon Banks and John Rice.
Hello and welcome to the Occupational Philosophers, the not-so-serious business podcast that mashes up the worlds of creativity, curiosity, and a big healthy dose of philosophy thrown in. This is an in-between episode for those shorter, sharper, fruity episodes, which serves as an aperitif between the main course of our longer guest episodes. Now, each and every week, I'm joined by the most fabulous co-host and co-producer all the way over in the UK. Hello, John Rice, and welcome. What a glorious time to be talking about interesting things.
That's a 45-second intro, Simon. That's the longest yet. Well done. I do look forward to them. I have to say. Inbetween has become a long-form episode after your introductions. But no, I'm very well.
Long-form introduction.
Long-form introduction.
Now,
I'm very well.
What's caught your curious eye this week, John? What have you been thinking about?
I've been thinking about humility. And I think we might have mentioned this before. I certainly would have mentioned it at some point before. But I've always been struck by the thought that curiosity, which is something I'm deeply interested in and is at the heart of this show, along with creativity and imagination, that it needs to be married with humility. And I suppose what I mean by that is, as I've seen curiosity in different environments and organizational environments or whatever, you realize that you've got to be humble before you can be curious, because if you're not humble and you have a sense of your own confidence in your own knowledge, etc., well, means you probably won't ask as many questions as you might do, or you probably won't sort of be particularly interested in other perspectives because you'll be so taken by your own perspective and worldview. So suddenly I thought, humility is a big thing. And interestingly enough, as I then researched it a little more, as one does, being curious with this stuff, I found it goes right back to our Greek philosophers and Greek society, which is obviously I was delighted by to realize that in ancient times, humility was seen as a great virtue, in fact, a foundational virtue to all the other virtues that they espoused as being the secret to, living a good life. So that's where I got to. So humility, the opposite of that was hubris. And in ancient Greece, hubris was a crime. It was actually a crime.
Icarus.
Yes, that's a great example. In Greek mythology, Icarus, the son who disregarded his father's wishes to not fly too high in the sky, not to be too ambitious in his flight, but of course with his wings put together with wax, they melted as he got towards the sun and he fell to the earth. And so that was a great example of hubris. And there's other ones as well. Achilles is another tale that's told in a similar vein. But all of these it's just that sense of it is a real foundational virtue. And I want to see if we can bring this back into sort of organizational discourse along with curiosity to say, look, we need to be humble here. We need to, as individuals, as team members, as CEOs and leaders, we need to recognize, other people may be right. I might be wrong, for example.
There's a great saying in innovation as well. You need to be okay with killing your babies, and it's quite harsh. But your idea babies,
idea babies,
your idea babies, and it sort of ties into this because we can get so passionate about an idea, and that passion is wonderful. But that passion can also be a blinker or a filter, like sort of the blinkers like a horse wears, so it can close you off from new information. And often when we test that idea, or maybe people don't even test, but there are some very big signals early on that this idea may not fly as you think it is. So that humility and curiosity to go together, I'm curious to see if this idea is people are as passionate about this or as I am, or if it actually solves the need that I think it does, because it's very easy, as we've said before, to be a solution, running around looking for a problem that may not exist. Yeah. So the curiosity to get the feedback that you need on all ideas when you test it, and then being humble enough to go, hey, that wasn't what I thought it was. Yeah. I'm happy to let that go and not put any more energy, time, effort into it as well.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, is that humility means that you're less likely to be defensive and actually open to
Yeah.
challenge, which is obviously very important in organizations and teams who are trying to sort of get to the best solution of things. And also as well, a recognition that without that humility, as I say, you won't ask great questions, because a question, as I say, it means you have to accept a lot of things, that you don't know something, that there are different possibilities, different perspectives and ideas other than your own, and that you can learn something from other people. Otherwise, in the absence of that kind of mindset, you won't step forward and ask a question. So I think humility, hey, we're going to make this the new thing. Maybe we'll add it into our mantra. Humility, curiosity.
And humility.
I want to add it in. I want to get a hashtag and a T-shirt made up. So, yeah, be humble. You could be wrong. They could be right. I was interested as well then. I thought I was in today's age, just how humble everybody is on LinkedIn, for example. I mean, you must have noticed, Simon, all of those posts.
I think there's a name for it, isn't it, John? But I'll let you talk about this. So, yeah.
Well, I can't quite remember. I was thinking of the humble brag, of course, Simon, as well, I was thinking, what's that, a Brumble, maybe? I don't know. Is it a Brumble?
Yeah, Brumble.
Brumble?
Yeah.
Should we go with a Brumble? But, they're the posts that start with, I'm honoured to have been selected as speaker for the southwest of England and the district of Taunton. Or I'm so fortunate to be travelling to all these amazing places as part of my work. Those kind of posts, which the subtext of which is I'm amazing, and I think you all should think I'm amazing too. So,
but you've also left off two words: shocked, awed, and humbled, which is the 3P. Boom. Chief Brumble. the
Holy Trinity, the triumvirate of the humble, or the Brumble post.
The Brumble trifecta. Yeah.
And as I was only thinking the other day, Simon, it is such a privilege, an honour. I'm shocked, awed and humbled by the fact that I'm the co-host with you on a top 10 global podcast.
Top 10%.
Oh, yeah. Top 10%.
You were a little too. You had a little bit of hubris there.
Bit of hubris there. My wings have melted.
Bloody Icarus. But yes, I am shocked, awed, and humbled as well, and with a very wide mouth. Shocked. I can't believe it. That is the case. Who would have thought? Now, on a more serious note, I want to tell a little story about a little bit of this lack of humility in an Australian business. And over here we have two, not dissimilar to what you have in the UK. We've got you've got Tesco and you've got Sainsbury's. We've got these huge big conglomerates that sort of dominate the market. Now, one of these also has a hardware chain called Bunnings. Bunnings is the most trusted brand in Australia. Everyone, loves it, and you get a free sausage sizzle when you go there. Not a free, everyone goes there, gets sausage, blah blah blah. Anyway, it's an Australian experience on your weekends. And this is owned by Coles or Wesfarmers, which Coles is one of the huge big supermarkets, owned by the Wesfarmer Group. Now, previous CEO of the Woolworths Group says, I want to take on Coles and kick their ass, and we're going to open a rival to Bunnings. And John, this was called Masters Hardware. Now, Masters launched, and you think of a hardware shop, massive, big box store, huge footprint, etc. They launched and they punched out a couple of hundred stores across Australia, thinking, hey, we're going to kick Bunnings' ass. And the signals he was getting back from the market, the suppliers, all the people who were working in the stores, trying to be something to everyone. His mission was to destroy Bunnings. However, he wasn't humble enough, I would say, to hear everything the market was sending back, including all their suppliers. And that was being seen as one of Australia's biggest corporate failures over the last 15, 20 years. And, something like a $2 to $4 billion write down on their profit and loss at the end of the year. And still sailed off into with the sunset clause and all that type of stuff. But yeah, and the big lesson come out of that, didn't listen, wasn't curious enough to listen. And I always think, I use them in my innovation programs. Imagine if you had spent a year and a half at the pilot store, listening, being curious. What do people want? What does it look like? How could you set it up? And then once you've got that working well, then you can go and expand. So there's a little story of it. Knock your
That's very good. I mean, I suspect there's, we know there are countless examples of hubris being the root of many a corporate downfall. And I'm sure Dr. Samuel West would probably be able to vouch for that with his Museum of Failure, that there's plenty of people who didn't listen, didn't ask questions, and they sort of reaped what they sowed there in terms of lack of humility. So yeah, hubris, very dangerous. Humility is the antidote. So I'm going, woohoo, big up for humility. Let's get it,
that feels like,
get it on the corporate agenda.
So that feels like a nice little spot to end, John. So look, as always, if you've enjoyed listening to this show and or our longer form episodes where we connect with our guests, leave a little review. And you might be thinking, yeah, but look, just pull over the car, do it safely, do it now on your phone. If you're listening somewhere else, just whack out your laptop, your iPad, do it, man, do it. It's like, feels good. And you'll have created a little bit more humility for John and I when we see them. And we go, I'm shocked, awed, and humbled that people have left such a glowing review, won't it? So
I should say, I can't end this episode, Simon, without sharing a quote from the great man himself, Muhammad Ali, which was, it's hard to be humble when you're as great as I am.
Now, on that note, as always, as we say, stay humble, stay curious, make stuff, play more, have fun. But most importantly, each and every day when you get up, get out in the world, what do we want you to do?
Date life.